Hey guys, I'm going to be installing an aftermarket air suspension system into a 2009 Crown Majesta. I know a lot of people get the air controllers, but I wanted a complete system simply because you can air up and down much quicker, and also considering that the OEM shocks are starting to get on with age and they can tend to leak, so you get to replace the shocks while you're at it as part of the kit. The kit I went with was AIRBFT. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Reason being is that I ran them in another car and I was really impressed with the quality and the performance, and most notably the price compared to the major brands. So yeah, why not? And also my dealings with them has been really seamless. The guy that runs them here in Australia, Eric, is a really nice guy. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me. I've never worked on a Crown Majesta before, so this is going to be a bit of a learning process for me as well. I've broken up the video into segments simply because it's quite a lengthy process and it gives you the option to skip forward if you find something that's not necessarily relevant to you. So yeah, enough babbling, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm just starting to look at removing all the trim so I can see what we've got to work with in terms of the suspension. This is the area where I'm planning on putting the tank and the compressor. Potential mounting points, maybe there and there. I don't know, we'll see how we go. Alright, so I'm just partially assembling the tank and the compressor just to figure out how much space I can work with. Just mocking things up at this stage, nothing's really torqued down just yet. This bracket assembly came with my previous AIRBFT kit for another car. It was a 5-gallon tank with 2 compressors. They were leftovers, so yeah, they came in handy this time. It also has a bracket for the compressor which bolts into there. Still figuring out whether I'm going to use this method or I might mount the compressor elsewhere. This port I'm probably going to block up with one of the caps, and then this will be designated for the sensor. And then under here on the belly there's a little port you probably can't see under there. I'm going to get, probably just going to put one of these elbow fittings. Maybe one of these elbow fittings, or maybe one of these other ones I've got here. And then run a line with a valve on the end, which I can use to purge the tank for cleaning and stuff. Just makes it handy. Okay, so I've removed the trim and it seems like this area is a pretty good area to put the compressor and the tank. I'm going to use these 3 holes as mounting points. I think M8 bolts can fit in there. And then there's a couple holes at the back here on this frame which I could probably make some brackets which can attach to the board and then also secure it from behind. Here I'm just tracing piece of MDF using the trim as a guide. Alright, I've got these 2 brackets made up, just some pieces of metal from Bunnings. I'm just going to trim it short there on that line. Got some M6 bolts, roughly about 30 mil, maybe 25 mil could have even been alright, and maybe even M8, but these should do. I've got a mate to weld these onto the brackets for me. And the idea is it'll go underneath the MDF just like that and secure the tank from above. Just saves me having to go underneath and secure it underneath, which will be a hassle if ever I need to remove the tank. Another way I could have done is instead of welding these, I could have just got some nuts and just secured the bolts to that, but I preferred this just so it sits more flush underneath. Alright, so here's how things are looking. I've just mocked up the position of where I want the tank and the compressor to be. I've put the shape cut out of MDF underneath there, and also holes work perfectly here for the M8 by 30 or M8 25 bolts that screw perfectly into there just to secure the MDF. I might look at securing the MDF from behind. I've decided to run the compressor this way. Originally it was behind the tank and concealed, but it seemed to make it sit too far forward, so I want to maximize the boot space as much as possible. So I've marked out and drilled the holes where I want to place the tank and the compressor, as well as the mounting holes. And now I'm dressing the board with some felt that I've bought from Amazon. It's pretty cheap, it's not bad stuff, and I'm securing it with a staple gun. pretty happy with how it turned out. Turned out all right. I just wanted it to look stocked, and it's going to be hidden in the boot most of the time anyway, but just something neater than seeing the bare MDF. All right, just looking at the accessory wire for the harness. Just needs a supply, so usually you tap in, you just tap into a fuse. So I've got this little fuse tap I got from J-Car, and this will go on the end of that yellow wire. So just finding the right fuse. Luckily with the Crown Majesta, got a nice little fuse box here in the back, and I'm thinking maybe that 7.5 amp, let's have a look, that 7.5 amp backup light. Yeah, get a multimeter, set it to, what is it, 20 volts. I'm just going to ground here on this bit of metal. Just put it in here on one of the terminals. Have a look. We've got nothing coming through. So we'll do the same again whilst we turn on the accessory button. Alright, press the button once. Zero again, that's good. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. I was preferring to wire this up for the on position instead of accessory anyway. 12 volts, yeah, this will be a good one. So looking at the power wire, I've removed the battery, but then look, using that grommet through there, through the firewall, cut off the little nib that was on there, and then hopefully I can run the wire through there to the back of the car. Just trying to get access through the grommet for the firewall. I think I might undo this bolt and try and move this out of the way just so I can get my hands in there. So that's it there, poking through. I've just kind of loosened this just to get a bit more access in through there. Alright, I've just removed the seat bottom, and I was planning on removing the backrest to run the power wire and also the lines from the front shock along there, then up through here. Then usually there's a grommet around there, behind there. That's what I had to do for that thing. But I just found, if I open this, there's a mad access point through here, this grommet through here. So that makes life so much easier. Just run the wires under there, then under behind there, up through there, and then straight into there. It's like they wanted you to bag this car. It's bloody awesome. Right, so I'm running the airline for the front left shock and the power wire through that grommet there. I just punctured it with a screwdriver and just fed it through. It comes out through here, and I'm just running across the sill to the back, behind there, and up in through there, and then up into here, and that goes into the boot. Just puncturing the grommet there. I just taped it to the coat hanger, just brought it through. So I'm running the lines from there, running down there, follows the harness down in through that hole there, comes out through here, behind the harness, then straight into the shock. It'll go in like that. 2 air lines for the front and the 12 volt power. Kind of a bodgy patch job on the grommet there with some electrical tape, just to stop the hole getting any bigger. Set up the water trap and the check valve. Make sure it's directional. 12 arrows there, and that goes into the tank. But I'm going to put it in an elbow, so it'll be like that. Let's just put some thread sealant on it first, using this stuff. So the water trap's installed. Now I'm going to install the hose from the compressor into the water trap. Pretty straightforward. This also needs some thread sealant. Just in regards to the location of the water trap and the check valve and all that, there are different schools of thoughts of where in the system it should be placed. I've talked to AIRBFT in the past about this, and they recommend this specific setup as per their diagram. obviously they've spent time doing the R&D on their own equipment, so yeah, just go along with it. Okay, I'm installing the pressure sensor. It has an O-ring on it, so I don't need to put any thread sealant on it. Just tighten it down firm, don't over tighten it. Now the 4 airline fittings. Again, these don't need thread sealant because of the O-rings. I have used third-party air fittings such as Pertec ones on my other car, and they just had heaps of leaks, and yeah, I just found that the AIRBFT ones were really good, so yeah, just use them. Just having a look at the harness. The yellow accessory wire, add in a fuse tap to that, and that'll get a 5-amp fuse. And happy about the fuse box being in the boot. It's just so convenient. Saves me having to route the accessory wire to the front footwell, which means less work. Disconnect the air compressor. I'll remove the fender lining and also remove that snorkel. And the one to unplug towards the front, yeah, it's this grey one with the blue and green wires going in. Let's put another rope up there. I know it's overkill, but sometimes this can fall down and break one of the lines. Here we go. Covered up the old airline. I'm just zip tied it to that. Should be enough clearance, I reckon. So that's the airline coming out of the grommet from the firewall. Just fed it under there, and it goes down through there. There's another big void here that you can go through, but I just prefer to route it down through there. It comes from under there. Behind that. So what I've done is remove the bolt from there, remove the bolt from there for this, and undone the sway bar end link, which is this one here. There you go, yep. So that's where I'm going to drill. I'll get the height settings of the suspension done first, and then once I'm happy with that, I'll get an alignment. Or also get these reset under load. With the old line, I'll just wrap the end with tape, and I'll just tuck it in behind there. Should be okay. Okay, so that's how she's looking with the guard liner. So now all that's left to do is just insert the accessory wire into the fuse box and connect all the air lines and harness connections as per this following diagram of a basic setup consisting of a single compressor. It shows one air line coming out of the tank going into the control module and a breather coming out of the exhaust port. However, I have confirmed that this diagram is outdated and you should be running 2 air lines going in and then 2 breathers on the exhaust ports. So you can finally attach the power wire to the positive terminal of the battery, turn the car on and wait for the compressor to fill up the tank. Then you can play around with various settings. It's recommended to air up the car completely and let it stay, for a good few hours or even overnight, just to test for any air leaks. Once that's all good, you can dial in your favorite settings. So this is how it turned out. I'm really happy with it. I just wanted something really functional and doesn't take up too much of the boot space. You can be really fancy with the airlines and stuff like that, but yeah, to be honest, that stuff doesn't faze me. This elbow fit in here with the extension line is for purging the tank. I bought this Straighter valve online, and it can also come in handy for when you have a flat tire. And this grounding point's just so conveniently located. It's almost like Toyota wants you to bag these cars. This is the partition I made just to stop things from interfering with the tank. Just got some brackets and some spacers just to keep it level, and it just uses the existing anchor points. This is how it sits when it's aired out. I've got the shocks almost to their highest setting, so there's a lot more adjustment if you want to go lower than this. Overall, I'm really happy, and yeah, so thanks for watching.